we will address the topic of open education. The presentations address open educational resources, or OERs, including their opportunities, challenges, values, principles, and benefits for educators and and students, and maybe also researchers. They also introduce platforms like the Open Campus and the Teaching Innovation Lab, or the CUTIL, and detail UCLouvain's approach to open education. So I think first we're hearing Sophie Depoterre. She's educational advisor at the Learning Lab at UCLouvain, followed by a presentation by Lisbeth Brevick, who's the Open Campus Chair or a Open Campus Chair at the University of Oslo. Without further ado, I would give the microphone over to Sophie.
I'm very happy to have been invited today, since open education is usually the poor relation in open science. So thank you very much for that. You can move on to the next slide. You should discover today what open education is, what OERs are, and why some educators at UCLouvain, for instance, use OERs. Who benefits from educators using OERs, among others, of course, students. I will finish with a brief overview of UCLouvain's 10-year history of open education. Many principles, values, leverages, and challenges discussed so far also apply to open education. You can switch to the next one. Thank you. So on the next slide, I want to share with you a definition on the next one. Yes, you can switch. In fact, open education is an educational movement which is based on the same principles discussed before, namely sharing, reusing, creating, and disseminating free and accessible open educational resources to all audiences worldwide. So I'm not only talking about teachers, but also learners around the world. This sketch note by my colleague Justine Fromentin shows that OERs cover a large variety of formats. We usually think of open textbooks, but you can also find OERs in the format of videos, podcasts, case studies, pictures, formulas, exercise, etc. It's a wide variety of OERs that are made available at everybody's disposal. Open education aims thereby to eliminate barriers to learning by offering quality learning material to all learners and colleagues around the world. The resources I'm going to share, as well as this presentation, are all, of course, licensed under a CC by SA license and can therefore be reused. It will be shared in the bibliography at the end. Charlotte, can you switch to the next slide? Teachers, learners, whoever should feel free to reuse OER, since Creative Commons licenses allow for it. As an example, this sketch note can be downloaded, can inspire you, can be reused as such, or you could also decide to adapt it to your needs, your learners, your specific context. It's all made possible thanks to the Creative Commons CC by SA license. That I'm going to say a few words about in the next slide. Yes, the next one, thank you. I won't expand on this, but what matters, the main message here is that Creative Commons licenses are chosen by the author and provide the reuser of the resource an indication of what he is allowed to do with the educational resource. For attribution means that you necessarily have to quote the author's resource if you reuse it. I won't say a lot more than that today, since a lot of things have already been said. The FAIR principles described by my colleague Joël also are similar. It's the same similar mentality or principles and values behind shared by open education. Charlotte, can you switch to the next one? My second thing I want to share with you is one concrete example of teachers reusing OERs in his course. The teacher here I'm talking about is Guillaume Lobet. His course in first bachelor for 200 students in bioengineering sciences. This teacher reuses images from the Berkshire Community College Bioscience Image Library, which enables him, well, thanks to this microscopic section, it provides him with quality material that he has decided to integrate into his course material. He adds interactivity to this material and images. After that, he has reused these images into videos, which he has then made available under a CC license on YouTube. And all this is finally reused by the students themselves for flipped classrooms. It means that being able to reuse in this case, pictures or whatever the material, OERs made by colleagues and available on the internet, saves teachers or educators a lot of time. It also enables him to illustrate his course, to diversify the type of teaching material into his course. So why not you? That's what I will try to convince you into in the next slides. Yes, here are some of the benefits of educators using OERs. Of course, it's not exhaustive. I had to choose among the many benefits. For students, if teachers reuse freely accessible open textbooks instead of having them pay expensive learning material, of course, it reduces costs for students. When teachers decide to complement their course material with extra videos, podcasts, or whatever extra material found on the internet and shared freely by some of his colleagues, it gives access to a wider variety of formats, and it improves learners, students' ability to understand the subject matter, which inevitably, consequently, fosters equity and inclusion. There are many benefits for institutions as well. Collaboration is obvious because you leave the rooms, well, you leave the institution and you go outside your institution. Innovation is also boosted because if you find innovative teaching material on the internet, you will be more likely to innovate in your own courses as well. From a societal point of view, lifelong learning is promoted. Knowledge sharing as well as democratized access to education are some of the benefits I wanted to highlight today. Charlotte, can you switch on to the next
Yes,
one?
you have
Okay,
3 more minutes. 3 more
okay.
minutes.
But then if you show the next slide, UCLouvain has started open education and open science. My colleague Joël Desterbeck talked about it in 2015. UCLouvain decided to implement an integrated approach to open education and open science, which are both underpinned by the same values. Since 2022, a team of academic developers, which I'm part of at the Louvain Learning Lab, is dedicated to open education, raising awareness, training, and supporting educators in the reuse of OERs is our main mission. On the next slide, you will see that we also implemented 2 platforms which enable teachers and members of the community to publish their OERs on those 2 platforms, which are made available for the rest of the world logically. On the next slide, I wanted to say a bit more about those 2 platforms. Open Moodle, the second one, shares open pathways, learning pathways, whereas the first one is isolated open educational resources. Here are some of the OERs you can find on the platform to develop skills and knowledge in open education. On the left, the booklet called Open Education, which also exists in English, a few tips to get started. And on the right, a focus on the reuse of OERs. It is to be published in November 2025, so it's coming soon. The CC by SA license allows you to, for instance, translate it into English if it remains in French. My point here was to share these two institutional repositories with you. UCLouvain decided very early to make the repositories available so that teachers would have a place where they could deposit their OERs. And we noticed that it is a facilitating factor to have an institutional platform. Of course, the resources available there are available worldwide. I also wanted to give two examples. So yes, the view is correct. I also wanted to give two examples. If you want to introduce to get to know open education, the booklet up on the left in blue called Open Education, which also exists in English, a few tips to get started, is an introduction to open education. And on the right, Open Education, enrichir ses cours grâce aux ressources éducatives libres, should be published on the same platform in French for the moment by November 25. This is a focus on how to reuse OERs and to integrate OERs into a training program, a course, or whatever. If you needed an English version, well, AI could help you translate OERs in general, and the CC by SA license that we have given to it allows you to do so. So that's what I wanted to say about this slide. And on the next slide, I'm going to quote Eric Deler-Snyder. He is a science teacher from UCLouvain. He recently embarked on open education and realized that it was actually much easier than climbing Mount Everest. So I can only encourage you to try, to taste, and once you embark on it, you realize the many values shared by open education. So go for it.
So, Lisbeth from the University of Oslo, thank you.
Thank you so much. I would like to thank everyone for the invitation and for allowing us to discuss open education and adding to the presentation you just heard. I will present from the open campus perspective. So I am an open campus academic chair, and I would like to talk about what we think about the open education resources in Circle U. So the Open Campus is a virtual university campus, which means that the aim is to be a portal to offer, for example, open education resources to students and to educators. And at the moment, when people enter the Circle U, if anyone searches for open education, you will find some resources. So the open educational resources, opportunities and challenges that we see for educators and students starts at the Open Campus as the home platform, and then you will find a link for resources. However, as of today, this resources link basically links to the presentation at, or the open education resources at UCLouvain. So this means that at the moment, Open Campus is looking towards what we can do to make sure that anyone in the Alliance who's interested in open educational resources does not have to go to the different partner universities to find these resources, but can come to the Open Campus as one entrance and then find an entrance to the resources at different universities. This is, as of now, not an option. You will only find, as I said, the links to UCLouvain, but this is what we're looking to do. And this is basically because we want to support the idea behind open education. And I will give specific examples today of what we can offer in addition to what you just heard from Louvain. And as you probably know, in the Circle U community, we have a hub or a lab called Teaching Innovation Lab, the CU-TIL, which, among others, have partners in a Center for Learning, Innovation and Academic Development called LINK. And what they do is specifically to create resources for educators in higher education. So, if we compare these two, so Open Campus is one part of Circle U, and then the Teaching Innovation Lab is another. And the combination is what I want to talk to you about now. So Open Campus wants to be not only a virtual campus for students, but also for educators. And one of the things that we can offer educators then would be open education resources. And that could be both from Circle U courses and lectures, and maybe other resources as well. That's what we need to discuss. But the idea of offering open education resources through the Open Campus is one that we support. And by doing so, the idea would be to offer guidance and support for developing instructional design, learning activities, and pedagogical use of digital tools. And today, you will find guidance and support for how to develop this. So the last point on to the left, when it says guidance and support for developing instructional design, learning activities, and pedagogical use of digital tools, today you will find the guidance and the support to do so, but not the specific learning and teaching resources. And that's where we want to develop. So moving over to the Teaching Innovation Lab, at their website, at the LINK website, which is part of Teaching Innovation Lab, there are actually quite a few resources for educators in higher education. For example, what they call better teaching. So in better teaching, anyone interested in developing and getting access to open education resources could go into LINK's Better Teaching website, where they will see that they offer the 5 different resources that I have linked or referred to. So there is a module on student learning, which means that anyone teaching in higher education could access the student learning material, which is a combination of teaching teachers in higher education how to focus on student learning, but also resources that they can use. The second module is about planning your teaching, which again is teaching teachers in higher education how to plan their teaching. And this is a course of how to do it, and it's also, again, material that can be used. The same goes for the topic or module of assessment and feedback. The module of learning assistance, how to use learning assistance in your teaching, and also what they call visiting lecturers at the University of Oslo, which means that we have invited lecturers at the university to visit LINK and to visit Better Teaching to talk about how they teach and what they do in their lectures. So this means that at the moment we have the Open Campus that offers links to UCLouvain, and we also have LINK at the University of Oslo, and we want to merge these into an entrance where we can offer links and resources directly. But as I said, this is actually on a planning level at the moment, and we're very happy to support what the Teaching Innovation Lab does, what LINK does, and what UCLouvain does. And just to show you one example, this is one of the modules. So this means that what LINK offers today is videos, and this is a screenshot from the module Planning Your Teaching. So this is a video for, I think it's half an hour or something, where they really get to learn how to teach. And then there are this diamond, it's what's the purpose of teaching, and then you are taught how to teach, but also given access to material. And this module, for example, says that planning your teaching is about much more than planning what will take place in the classroom. What are the most important goals for the teaching, and how can you support the students' learning process towards these goals? So as you see, this is more than merely resources to be used. It's also training in how to teach and how to use resources. So I would like to share this quote just to show what better teaching is and how this aligns with the open education notion. So better teaching provides research-based practices, and good examples of pedagogical design, learning activities, and assessment methods. The resource was developed by university pedagogues, IT pedagogues, video pedagogues, graphic designers, and web developers at LINK. So this means that when we talk about education, open education resources, this can be interpreted in different, not necessarily interpreted in different ways, but offered in different ways. So as you can see at UCLouvain and at University of Oslo, and also at other partner universities, we have repositories with open education resources that can be shared. And the Open Campus will, as soon as we can sort of have this done, but we will now initiate an entrance on the Open Campus website to collect links and to collect resources so that it's easy to find for our members and the community at large. So I think I'll stop there and I will take questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisbeth. Thank you very much for your presentation. So thank you to both Sophie and Lisbeth for your presentations. And you were right, Lisbeth, your presentation did very much build on the foundations that you, Sophie, built in your presentation. We have one question from the audience that is, my colleagues, so scientists involved in educational activities, are wondering how to assure that OER are reliable in terms of integrity. Apparently, compared to scientific publications, there's no moderation or peer review of OER. Sorry. Thank you. That's the question. Yeah, I don't know who wants to go first. Yeah.
I can start. Lisbeth, you can start as well.
No, please, Sophie. I can go after you.
No? Okay. So it is a question that many teachers ask us regularly. First, to introduce my answer, I'd like to say that we see many teachers ask us questions about OERs, which they don't ask about books published by a publisher. So it's true that there is no peer reviewing. There are exceptions. What we answer the teachers is that since the teachers themselves publish in their name a resource, we consider that the teachers themselves, the authors, are kind of guarantee the quality of their resource. That's the first thing. The second aspect is that when our teachers share a teaching material, we encourage them to add what we call in French scénario pédagogique, which is additional information to encourage the reproducibility, the reusability of a teaching resource. These are the two answers I would provide to this question.
Yeah, and to add on to that, I think that there are at least two different ways of looking at this. One, as you, Sophie, said, that we trust those who produce them. However, the other way is to say that, especially in today's AI society, what we really need is for anyone to be critical users and critical readers of any information. So to some extent, I think that this aligns very well with the general notion of being source critical, which means that even if teaching material is published with an open education license, anyone who wants to use material that is available should go through it. I mean, it will help them to get access to it, but you should definitely double check things yourself. So if we're lucky or if society moves forward, this will actually help us double check sources, be critical. To take information at face value is critical in today's society. We should never do that. But it is two different perspectives. It's that we do get available open education resources, which is a wonderful source. Then you need to be critical yourself. And to add to that, this is actually the debate that we have initiated in the Open Campus. What should we put on the Open Campus website? Should we, for example, have links directly to your repository in UCLouvain, to links repository at the University of Oslo, and so on? Or should we say that we want to promote open education resources from Circle U courses only, for example, which might have something to do with the relevance of the material that we put out there, or it could also be seen as quality assurance. But this is definitely, it's a very, very good question. And it has, as I said, it's sort of a double-layered issue. A license, an open license to share cannot guarantee anything, but we decide whether we want to trust them. And then there is the Circle U assurance on top of that. Do we want to add to quality assurance, or do we not want to do that and then do what you just said, Sophie, to trust those who make it? So my main issue would be to just say that I hope that anyone who wants to use these things are critical source users themselves.
I find that very interesting. Is there, especially for people that want to embark on open education, rather than maybe climbing Mount Everest, is there guidelines somewhere available for critical review of open education resources? Something maybe like guiding questions that I could ask myself if I want to use something for a class or.
Yes, of course. At UCLouvain, we try to publish as many guidelines as we can. The team I was talking about has made information available on our website, Confluence, which I can share the link with you afterwards, which describes guidelines, tips, practicalities, in the booklet that should be published by November. There's also a part about how to find, where to find open educational resources, how to look for quality open educational resources. But what applies to OERs also applies to finding resources in general. But there are tips and guidelines that have been published, not only by UCLouvain, by many partners as well. Yeah.
I also see that there is some suggestions here of that there are actually courses that are reviewed. So I guess, again, there's a lot out there. And just to remind everyone, this is something that everyone knows, but research that is, to just compare it to research that it has an open access license is not more or less reliable than research that is not open access. The difference is simply that it's open access. And we do know also from the last years horrible news about research that is false, which also means that even though we try, even though it is peer-reviewed, we can never be certain. So it's I think that we should be able to trust open education resources to the same extent as other research and this, but the difference is, as you very, very well put, Sophie, we don't question books that are published with teaching materials, and books are not necessarily peer-reviewed. So I think that it's sort of a similarity in our critical reading of what we choose to talk about in our lectures based on the material that we use.